All right. Well, welcome everybody to our second of the Commissioner and District Committee Roundtable. I think we confused a few people by calling it Roundtable. We were trying to figure out what better name to call this, and after lots of different meetings and trying to figure that out, we figured that Roundtable was a good choice. And so if you do come up with something different, let me know. But this is not to replace your district's roundtable or any commissioner meeting or district meeting that you're having, but we felt as a key three, it would be important that we continue to communicate with all of the commissioners and district committee people throughout this COVID and restart scouting period of our history here, and so this is the way that we've chosen to do that. There is information on our website, and I'll refer that a little bit later in our meeting. But anyway, welcome everybody. We are extremely glad that you're here. Again, back by popular demand, we have our Council Commissioner, Dave Carlson, who's joining us, and Will Amrine, the Vice Chair of District Operations. We are very pleased. It's a great honor to work with them, and I know intermittently I work with many of you. One thing that I'm kind of disappointed in because of COVID is not being able to get out and meet everybody. And as I was sharing with Bob Guy, I was in a meeting with him a couple of days ago, and we were all masked up and things like that. So sometimes it's hard to recognize people without their mask on. So anyway, if you meet me in person and you say hi, and I give you this look like I have no idea who you are, maybe bring out your mask, put it on, and I'll probably recognize you. So anyway, we're glad you're here. Like I said, we have some items that we feel are of importance that we want to share with you, and then certainly open it up for questions, comments, things that we can do better. We always like great feedback if we're doing things well. We got some feedback from some folks just yesterday about some of the den meetings, that they really enjoyed those, and so we certainly love that positive reinforcement. But if there are things that we can do better, we certainly want to know that so that we can improve. So with that, we're going to start off with Dave talking about the Restart Scouting Tracking Sheet. So not to steal any of Dave's thunder, but Dave, go ahead, and then whenever you want that sheet up on the screen, just let me know.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eric. Eric said back by popular demand. I can see the names of everybody on the call, and there's several people here who probably would, rather hear from Will and you instead of me tonight. But be that as it may, welcome everyone. Thanks for getting on the call, and thanks for your service. I know I spent a better part of the day on several meetings, both at the regional level and here in town. And we're all, the whole scouting movement is faced with, a lot of the challenges we don't have to readdress, but we're looking for all the creative ways and all the ways that context can still occur, that you all can share with us what you're doing. We can hopefully share ideas with you all to help us, keep our troops active that are active in our packs and our dens and our crews, and to find ways to get our scouts back out in some form or fashion. We all know that with COVID, it's been really difficult to have, especially Cub Scouting level, have the same kind of activities they did before. So one of the things you're going to see that we're going to talk about tonight, and Eric will put it up in just a minute, is something he just said was the Restart Scouting Tracking Sheet. We all know as commissioners, and there's a number of commissioners on the call, and we all know as people who've been on the district committee, whether they're the program chair in their district like John Beatty, or whether they're the advancement chair, whatever role you play in those arenas, we know that you're the critical step between the scouting movement and this thing called the Denver Area Council and the folks that are in the field, the youth and the parents and the leaders that are at the unit level. So we know that, commissioners are charged with working with each of those units, finding out what's working for units, what's not working for units, helping them organize their year, helping them, do things like charter renewal, program development. the folks on the program side, the program folks and the people who are the camping folks, they're the ones who are really in charge of helping our units, have fun and do those things that scouting is all about, and get out in the field and experience and understand all the lessons that are out there in character development, but they're really in the field. So I know I'm kind of rambling, but what I'm saying is we know that the district committee and the district key 3 is really they're really the vital folks to get in contact with units. And that includes the commissioner and the chair, and of course, all of the folks on the key 3, on the district committee. And that includes the professional who's assigned to the district, whether it's a DD and a DE, or just a DE, just a DD, however that structure works for the professional staff. So what we've done, Eric, you want to put the tracking sheet up on the screen, please? And we'll go to, anyway, when it comes up, and I'm headed towards trifocals, and I know others are too, but I'll be looking down because I have to have it closer to see it. So what Eric's staff tried to put together here, and I think has done a really good job, is finding a way that we can measure, take account for several different measures with each unit. We need to find out, and there's some things on here that wouldn't have been typically on an assessment done by a commissioner, for instance. But so if you look at the sheet, if you can look at the upper left-hand corner, we're talking about the unit. What kind of unit? Is it a pack, a troop, a crew, a post, a ship? What's the number of that unit? And these are separated by district. What you're looking at right now is Three Rivers, because that's one that Eric introduced first. And so we've got to jump on Three Rivers. So that's why you're looking at Three Rivers right now, but there's one for each district. And so then we talk about which committee member or which commissioner is assigned to contact these particular units. So if you can see, I know the print's a little small, just take that first line of a pack 186. Wayne Nelson is the committee person assigned to that contact of that unit. What Wayne is doing, or has already done, is reached out to that unit and determine, are they meeting virtually? Are they meeting in person? Are they meeting Zoom? Are they doing hybrids, as our scouts have started to call the mixed meetings? Does the unit have an indoor place to meet? And you guys, I don't need to tell you, winter's coming. Hopefully we'll get some moisture soon, but the cold is coming, and it's a challenge. So we've got to, early this fall, help the units find a place where they can have indoor meetings. And we're having to get very creative on that. The units are, churches and many schools and the places we've met, historically, are not available due to COVID. So we're looking for, you see it's in red or in pink, that's a hot button. What can we do? What can the district do? What can council do to help these guys through their chartered organization find a place to meet? John Beatty's on the call. And John, we've used you as an example because I know the church, the Catholic Church where your troop is headquartered, has been a challenge for live meetings. But I also know you got really creative and were able to get the food bank that you volunteer a good share of your volunteer life to open up to meetings for your troop, if I'm not mistaken, which that's the kind of things we're talking about creatively.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Do you mind that I interject just for a second on that?
Sure, no, anytime, of course.
No, so I think the other thing, because I'm just one, as we go through this, to be able to think about creative ways. So, I think there's two other examples here, Dave, to think about and for the group to think about, because this is going to be this is a huge issue. If scouting is going to keep going, the virtual will go for only a little bit. We'll always have to have virtual as part of it, but we got to get back to face in a safe and, and where nobody's at risk, right? Socially distancing. Sorry, I lost the term that everybody uses. So, one thing that I am offering up as an example is creativeness. Is that I have, I'm an Evergreen and I have a house with a horse barn that's very, very, it's probably 2,000 square feet at the top. On the top of the horse barn, we can throw heaters in there, and I'm going to offer it to everybody in the Evergreen area that they can have scout meetings, and we can slot those on different nights. Another thing is I know a lot of you have businesses that you're part of that maybe you own, office space. Now my problem is my office space is downtown and nobody wants to go downtown, so that's kind of dead. And otherwise I'd offer that up. But everybody else, maybe there's people inside the units that have office space that their companies own that we can use and try to just make things work for, the next 4 or 5 months. So Dave, I just wanted to throw more creativity around there because it really will be the issue over the next couple of months of how we keep scouting going.
Will, thanks. And Will raised some great points. I know Eric made a point when Will and I were talking with Eric last night. There's another thing, that people are talking about in circus tents, and we're not trying to be funny, but there's people who have large tent, large awning arrangements that can have heaters in them or can at least keep out the elements where folks can be socially distanced. So where can scout units find those kinds of resources? And that's exactly what Will's talking about. And Will, thank you for throwing open your horse barn. I mean, I think that's the kind of creativity we're looking for.
That's what we're going to need to do, right? I mean, and that's
exactly.
About scouting is let's be creative and let's make something out of nothing, right?
And the other thing, and this is only from my own personal experience with, my son and his troop, but sometimes it's not as cold as it seems. So maybe we should be meeting outside when it's, 38 and not 12 or something like that. So just Cub Scouts, it's a little different, I understand, but with the troops and the older youth, we just need to kind of think out of those boxes. So that's only the number 2. I'm not going to go through everything, but you can see these are some important, measurements or metrics, as people Will's age call it, younger people. And then, does the unit have a program calendar? Has the unit recruited any new youth? I was really happy to see in Three Rivers, we've got a number of units that we've contacted, that Wayne's contacted, and others that have recruited new youth. And so the other thing is we tally what was the youth in the district as of July 31st? What was the youth in the district as of this measurement, which I think was September? And right now, guys, any positive, any uptick, anything that that's not a number in brackets is a pretty healthy. That's a healthy sign. That means scouting's still alive, and we're just trying to find ways to keep it alive and increase, give it some vibrance again. The other question we ask about finance, we know popcorn is a challenge, with the King Supers and the big box stores not allowing scout units to sell. We know we have to have other alternatives, but you can see down this matrix that some units are selling and some units are doing pretty well. Some units are not. They're challenged to find a way to do that. Has the unit recorded advancements? Has the unit participated in outdoor activity or field trips? And look down that column where it says camping. All of the units are reported. Now there's a whole lot of units that we haven't contacted or haven't got back to our folks. But look at that's 100% that these units have had some kind of activity. Has the unit participated in a service project? It looks like right now we're challenged to find those kind of service projects because a lot of folks we would have normally done those for or with are either shut down or reluctant to try to create a venue with the social distancing and those other issues. And then the last column is a score. How's everybody done? You need urgent help? Do you need some help, or do you need little help? And one of the things that I think we've tried to do with commissioners, and I know there's several commissioners on the call who've handled their obligations and their contacts this way. We want to talk to the units that need the most help first. There's units that are rolling full speed ahead and they don't need a lot of help, and we don't need a lot of contact. It's nice, but the contacts we have to make are with these units that are struggling to find their way. So this is the contact spreadsheet. Again, each district is already making these contacts, and that's through their commissioner team. But as you can see, if you look across that top toolbar, you have advancement. There's a member of the committee who's in charge of advancement. There's a member of the committee in charge of program, camping, and activities, or more than one in some cases. There's someone on the committee that's talked about training. There's someone on the committee who's responsible for membership. So this is something that's not just commissioners. It's not just the district chair. It's a whole number of the folks on the district committee. Now, when we meet with the commissioner cabinet, which is a week from now, one of the things that we'll be, pushing the district commissioners, and there's some on the call, so they'll get a little preview, is the district chair and the district committee working with their assigned professional we've got to have leadership on this. I mean, we just can't make it willy-nilly. We need to know who's assigned. The committee needs to talk about it and figure out who's the best person to make those contacts. The commissioners can't make all the contacts. And in some cases, we don't have units assigned or we don't have enough commissioners. But certainly with the district committee, this is an effort that, can make, I think, Will, one of the things Will came up with last night was, how about a call night? Your district committee gets together and everybody on the committee or leadership on the committee and the commissioner team, we're going to make so many calls tonight. We're going to call on so many units.
And Dave, and what we talked about too, what we talked about as well is that it's literally 10 minutes max to collect this information. And then I think the other thing is that I think it's important for everybody to know is we had our board meeting, from a council standpoint this morning. And there's a lot of critical decisions that are being made to make sure that scouting is going to progress, and make no bones about it. There's a lot of headwinds right now that we can overcome, but we need to know where these hot spots are and understand. And so that as a board, we can make the decisions that give scouting the best chance to continue to be as strong in this area as what it has been for the last, 100 years. So.
And I know the commissioner team has heard this, and I don't want to make it sound trite or like it's just some words that, we make up as we go along, but, this is a volunteer-led organization. It has been since it started. In fact, there were no scouting professionals for the first, I think couple of decades of scouting. The whole service, the DE and DD actually grew out of the volunteer organization. And with our issues, the headwinds that we're facing, volunteers, those of us who are volunteers, are going to have as important a role and more important as role. And we won't have the same resources at our beck and call that we've had in the past. That's not a negative. I mean, it probably should have, some of that should have been, a little more volunteer-led at certain things. I'll say from, my standpoint, when I was a district chair, there were probably things that I, let the scout executives do that probably were volunteer-oriented, that would have probably got us more involvement and more growth. So having said that, if there's any questions, please let us know. But again, this is just a measure it's important, it's urgent in the sense that we really need to know what these folks in the units are doing right now so that we can get them to recharter, to winter, to next year, and through this period with some good ideas about how they're not only going to survive, but thrive. So Eric, I'll let you take back on the agenda. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave. Great ideas, great discussion. Now, if you've not seen this spreadsheet, this came out just very recently through the executives. And so if they have not reached out to you yet, please reach out to them. And Dave makes a very important point, is that this is not just commissioner function. This is the entire district committee. As Will mentioned at our last meeting, the purpose of the district is to support the units. And this is an excellent way that we can support those units out there by finding out what their needs are. And as the scout as the scout oath says, we're to help other people at all times. And this is a great opportunity for us to do that. So thank you for that. The next thing that we want to talk about, certainly restart scouting. I want to mention, and let me just pull up on the screen here. If you are not aware of, and this comes from our national organization, scoutingwire.org. There's a membership and marketing hub. The national organization has been putting out some webinars. There's lots of additional resources. And so,
I'd start with 20 because when I did a stress test on my network, that's how many you can handle. I think it.
So what we wanted to do is just to share with you, and we put this on the agenda. There are some marketing webinars, and these are the past webinars. So just like this meeting, they record them and they put them on this website. There's one coming up the first week of November. Again, if you're interested in doing that, if you want to pass that information along, we just wanted to share some additional resources that are happening out there. The other thing that I want to pull up is, I know we showed this to you last month, but this is a very dynamic website, meaning that there are changes happening sometimes on a weekly basis. And so if you've been here, but you haven't been back recently, we encourage you to do that. We encourage you to share this with the other district committee members and commissioners, and most importantly, the unit leaders. So some of this stuff is the same, but as we go down to the virtual Cub Scout Den meetings, we started these last month in September. The ones for this month are already starting this week as well. We are recording these. Some things that we learned from last month, some of them we did Zoom, some of them we did Facebook Live events. We found that the Facebook Live events were better attended, and so now everything that we're going to offer through these Den meetings are going to be Facebook Live events. So you can go on this this website, you can take a look, and if you are not a Facebooker, kind of like me, you can get on there. You can go to the Denver Area Council Facebook page, which is located right here, and then you can encourage your dens to go on there to have a very exciting den meeting. There are some roundtables for Cub Scout leaders and for Scouts BSA leaders. Again, I want to reiterate, this is not to replace your district roundtables that you guys are already having. This is just in addition to. We'd much rather have a lot of resources and a lot of things that can support our volunteers.
That I have doesn't affect our revenue. Cities, in this situation, the city's going to pay us no matter what, and they're not going to.
Somebody is not on mute.
Essentially,
Yeah, everybody needs to mute up there, guys.
It's like, you want me to do more kids, then you have to improve my network.
Let's hope nothing gets said that doesn't want everybody to hear.
So, and then also we have monthly themes that we're doing. Last month was hiking. If you missed that, you can go out there, even though it's not September. But we also have the scavenger hunt, which is the theme. I'll just pull it up here. So each week there's going to be some new resources. And so that's why we just want to encourage you to come back, take a look at the resources that are there, so that we can provide the program that the units deserve. So with that, are there any questions about the resources, about the national recruiting webinars that we can answer before we talk about, or Will talks about some new training courses that are available? All right. Well, Will, why don't you talk about these training opportunities? And I'm gonna have some issues with my login. I'll see if I can get that, but you can certainly talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, one of the things in going to this virtual world that we're going to, right, is the adaptation to training and having some experiences that are done virtually. And, I, as somebody that's been involved in scouting since I was, 8, 9 years old, and especially whenever I got involved at the council level, I think, and most people would agree, technology has not been one of the things that scouts have been really good at. And I think that this challenge of COVID has really kind of stepped up and made them realize that as an organization, they needed to get better at it. And one of those things you're seeing is what Eric just showed and shared with getting scouting started. And then the other thing is, you know, we still have young men and young women that need to go through leadership training. And so what I want to share, and Eric, if we don't get it up on the screen, I mean, we can send them, you know, directions on, looks like you may be able to get it on.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so in response to the demand that we still have to have leadership training, they and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Eric did a great job of kind of summarizing the detail around this, but there's a 3-module training that's on in my scouting, and it's not, you know, the first 2 modules. One's just an introduction of the training program and what they're going to see. The second module is roughly just 36 minutes, learning about the tools of leadership. It's really designed to help scouts and crew members develop their leadership knowledge, skills, and abilities. Topics include, this is all stuff that they did in units that took place in day in and day out meetings face to face, but now we've got to do it in a little bit of a virtual situation. But creating vision, goal setting, communication, planning, and delegation, and the stages of development. And then what I think is really kind of unique, and I think it can be intertwined in whatever these kids are doing, whether it be scouting or whether it be online learning, and then just what they're doing in school, is that the final module is a module built around taking those skills and leaderships and doing it over Zoom, right? And the things that they've learned and leading one of those sessions. And so the topics covered in that 1-hour module includes team development characteristics, group decisions, leadership styles and tools, ethics and values, and the EDGE method. And so, you know, Eric, I told you I was going to try to get through all 3 modules. Obviously, you can't get to the 3rd, but I got halfway through the 2nd. And you know, it's really it is absolutely the best case situation for what we're dealing with right now, and it's very, very helpful. So I would encourage everybody to really spend some time. The one thing that we do have time is spend time on this training areas, and you know, just continue to push this leadership development inside your units.
Thank you, Will. So hopefully everybody kind of saw there. You should be familiar with my BSA and the BSA Learn Center. That's where we find this. That's where we find all of the online trainings. And so again, there's youth protection. There's all of the, and hopefully if I'm repeating this and you already know it, you can pass it along to somebody else. But all of the modules that are needed for a cub leader to be fully trained are here. Scouts BSA, you know, and except the outdoor leader skills, you can do that. But this is where you can find that the introduction to leader skills that Will just talked about. So again, brand new, hot off the press. We just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this so that you can pass this information along to the troops and the crews. And we'll certainly put something about this in the newsletters so that we can let the leaders know as well. But there's lots of great training opportunities out there.
The next thing is open discussion and questions. Can I lead in, Eric? Is it okay if I lead into a question to the group and just
Certainly.
and get some feedback? Okay. So everybody has now, you know, we've restarted scouting. We know there's challenges. Eric, by the way, you were very humble. You put that, you did a great job putting that spreadsheet together and really addressing all the needs, and that was your work. So thank you very much for doing that. And now we just need to execute on it. But from a technology standpoint, and trying to just make sure that we're doing everything that we can do from a council level, and for Eric and the work that he's doing, are we missing anything? Is there stuff out there where you guys say, we just haven't virtualized it enough, it's a huge issue, and we, you know, you may or may not be able to fix it, but here's the issue? And I'd like to just open up the table to see if there are any issues out there that, you know, that we need to be looking at from a technology solution for the next, you know, 3 to 6 months.
Can you hear
to
me?
make sure that scouting continues to move forward. I'll just open it up to the group. Make sure you're off mute if you're going to ask a question. Eric, we may be doing a great job.
I have a question about Recharter.
Okay.
In the past, the council's put up a spreadsheet to allow the district commissioners to see where their units are through the recharter process.
Yes.
When is that going to be uploaded again this year, and when can we expect to see it?
Okay, Mike, I've hid it from you, but I have seen the first draft of the first one. Okay. And so at our meeting on the 26th, we'll be talking about that, how that's going to roll out and how those reports are going to be distributed. But Lynette is working on that right now. And I'll just say this, you do a fabulous job down in Blackfeather, but for some reason, the Alpine units are the first, they seem to be the first ones responding. Now, whether they get it done or not is another question, but I'll put a little competition out there that, and I'm just kidding, but so Lynette is working on it, and I got a draft of that day before yesterday. So you guys will see it. It will tell you each unit and what they've done. They've opened, they've posted, they've responded. So it gives us a status of each of those, okay? And that's what you're looking for, right, Michael?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
So yes, this is the open discussion and questions. We certainly didn't want to fill the entire time with resources. We know that you may have some questions. If you do, great. This is the opportunity that you can do that. Please let us know if we're doing the right things, if we're focused on the right things, like Will said, or if there are things that, as you hear from either different volunteers or unit volunteers, that we need to be providing this, or we can help with this, or whatever that might be. That's what we want to do. So please let us know. Does anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions, good jokes?
Eric, I don't see anybody asleep, so that's a good sign. I'm looking across there.
Well,
all right. Well, David, if you have something else, again, we're not going to keep you for another 27 minutes. If you're good to go, fantastic. But Dave, did you have something, or Will, did you have any closing comments?
I was just going to say, and I know Will will, add to that, but, please reach out. I think everyone, we know how to get a hold of you. I think you know how to get a hold of all of us. And this week, I'll just be really honest. I was at the OA event last Saturday night, and I didn't know how many people knew who I was, I guess. And there was a lot of discussion, not related to the vigil, not related to OA, but to commissioner business, to council business, to some of the challenges we're facing. And please feel free to reach out. Since last Saturday night, there's been some pretty healthy discussion amongst some of the volunteers that, are more involved on my part of the business, the commissioner side, but that's how we learn. And that's how we, we get to you the tools and the support that you all need. So please feel free to reach out and at any time.
Thank you, Dave.
I just want to enforce the reaching out. We had a situation that came up after this meeting last month that was around finding a location, and I think 50% of the work was already done by the time they reached out, but we were able to find a location, and everybody went all hands on deck to help. And so I think those are the type of things where it goes back to the spreadsheet, Eric, that how important that is so that we can identify where some of these hot issues are and be able to put them out as fast as we can. And I just want to thank everybody. There's a lot of, it's challenging, and like, Dave said, it's a volunteer-led organization. Scouting means a ton to me, to my family and everything. And it's really the only thing I'm working on right now, but I'm not going to let it down. And so, I know all of you feel the same way, and just thank you for all your time and effort. And one of these days the sun's going to come up without wearing masks, and we'll be back to normal. But until then, it's going to take, a little bit of time. And thank you for all the effort that you're putting in.
Thank you, Will. So our next meeting next month is going to be November 19th, 6 o'clock. We'll do the same thing. I'll send out an email a couple days before or the day before with the Zoom information. Certainly, if there are specific topics that you'd like us to discuss, please email them to me or to Dave or to Will. We'd be happy to put those on the agenda. If not, we'll come up with something that we hope is important and helpful to you to discuss at these meetings. So with that, let me just close with a thought. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action becomes a reality. We certainly appreciate what everyone is doing. I can't reiterate, and Will's done that and Dave's done that as well, is this tracking sheet so we can know how units are doing, what they're doing, and most importantly, once we get that information, what we can do to help them and to support them. Because we promised these kids that they could have a scouting program when they signed up, and we want to certainly deliver on that promise. So thank you again on behalf of the thousands of kids that we have in the Denver Area Council. I know a lot of times, they don't even know that we're here, which is just fine. But we want to make sure that just like all of us had a great scouting experience, that we continue to deliver on that promise. So thanks very much for what you're doing. Have a great evening, and we'll see you down the scouting trail.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Will, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.